Champions Mojo is part of the CG Sports Network.
Welcome to the award-winning Champions Mojo, hosted by two world record-holding athletes and health, life, and leadership coaches. Be inspired as you listen to Conversations with Champions. And now, your hosts, Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast. And as usual, I am co-hosting with Maria Parker. Hello, Maria.
Hi, Kelly. It's good to see you today.
Great to see you. And well, Maria, it is the season of giving, and we are going to give our listeners a gift and have the privilege of talking with Jillian Best. Let's say hi to her before we introduce her. Hey, Jillian.
Hi, Jillian.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on.
So, Jillian, we have many people are going to be interested in this. We do have a lot of swimmers that listen to our podcast, but even if you're not a swimmer, everyone, listen up. On August 4th of 2021, Jillian got out of the water after swimming 52 kilometers across Lake Ontario in 18 hours and 36 minutes. Now, for us US people, that is 32.3 miles. 18 hours of swimming. Okay. I'm a distance swimmer, and that's a long time. So she is one of only a handful of people to complete this incredible endurance feat. And she did it most impressively 5 years after receiving a new liver through an organ transplant program. She did this to raise money and awareness about the importance of organ transplants through her Move for Life Foundation. And Maria, can you tell us more on this incredible champion?
Sure, Kelly. After Jillian was diagnosed with a condition that attacked her liver at age 15, she became aware that she might possibly have liver failure. And at age 22, she did start to have liver failure and was sick after that. More often than not, she was in and out of hospital for years before finally being put on an organ transplant waiting list. And at age 29, Jillian received her life-saving transplant. After she recovered, she went back to swimming and hasn't stopped since, winning gold medals and breaking records at the 2019 World Transplant Games. Jillian's life since then has been about bringing hope and encouragement to others and raising money for life-saving equipment for organ transplant. There's a lot more to say about this incredible woman, but let's hear it directly from her. Welcome again to the show, Jillian.
Thank you so much.
So, Jillian, first, all right, you're 15. You get diagnosed officially with that at 15. You start getting sick at 22. You get your transplant at 29. How old are you today? And how does one get diagnosed with liver disease at that young age?
Well, today I'm 34 years old. So it'll be almost 6 years since my liver transplant. And what happened was my mom was ill when I was a teenager, and we didn't understand at that time why she was ill and why she was experiencing liver failure. But then we did some research and realized that this was a hereditary disease. We looked back to my grandmother, who experienced issues in a different organ. She had HHT in her lungs. So
what's HHT?
HHT is the disease that we have in our family called Hereditary Hemorrhagic Telangiectasia. And this can manifest in different organs of the body. And so we went to the rest of the family at this time went to our specialist in Toronto, and we had testing done to see if we had signs of this disease. And sure enough, there were a number of my family members that were diagnosed at this time. So that's when I realized that I had the gene and I could potentially face challenges similar to the ones that my mother had endured.
And then, were you scared? And
yeah.
And what tell us how this road unfolded to the lake swim?
Yeah. So yeah, of course I was scared, not incredibly at that age, because I thought, if this is going to happen, it's probably when I'm the age of my mom, like when I'm an adult and I'm older. And we're not completely sure why it affected me at such a young age. But it did. And I became ill through my 20s, in and out of the hospital, as you said. And when I learned about the World Transplant Games, which was right after I had my transplant at the age of 29, I saw that swimming was a sport that I could compete in at the Transplant Games. So this was my very first goal that I set for myself when I had my transplant, and I decided I want to get my health back, and I want to be fit, and I want to become strong. And so it was literally 2 months after my liver transplant, I went back to the Y and I started swimming and preparing to compete in my very first World Transplant Games competition, which was being held in Spain, Malaga, in 2017. And that's sort of what got me started setting big goals for myself. And I just kept raising the bar every year. And then the following World Transplant Games were in 2019, and I did very well at those. I was on track to compete at the 2021 Transplant Games in Houston, and they were canceled, of course, because of the pandemic. So I decided I didn't want to not do something. So I started to dream, and I thought about swimming across a lake. I read a few books that inspired me, and I set my sights on swimming across Lake Ontario. And I decided that I didn't want to let any obstacle get in my way. I was going to find a way to keep training, even though the pools were closed. And that's exactly what I did. I worked really hard over the year to prepare for this, and I haven't looked back. I'm so glad that I decided to do this, as scary as it was. And honestly, at the beginning, and when I started planning this, I didn't fully know what I was getting into. But I learned along the way, and I learned a lot about marathon swimming and just what we are actually capable of doing.
Were you a swimmer before, Maria? I'm sorry, were you a swimmer before you decided to swim? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I started at the age of 4 swimming, and I swam regularly as a kid until I was 15 years old, at which time my mother was really ill and I became depressed. So I swam, for a good chunk of my life. I had a good swimming base, I guess that I could go back to. And I always loved the water. And so that's kind of what drew me in when I heard about the Transplant Games. I thought, I loved swimming. I wish that I had never quit. And it was just a good reason for me to get back in the water. And I'm so glad I did. It's been a huge, huge part of my recovery from my transplant, mentally and physically.
I just want to go back, because we saw pictures of you before you got your liver transplant, and you were really, really sick. I mean, anybody could just take one look at you and think, oh, this woman is dying.
Yep.
So, I'm curious, you're so beautiful and vibrantly healthy today. What does it feel like to get a second chance at life?
It's really hard to describe. I do think back often to the days when I was really sick and, had completely lost my independence, and just how contrasting that is to the way that I live my life today. If I wasn't so grateful for being alive, I would forget that I'm an organ transplant recipient, because I feel that I function better than before. I feel normal. I feel healthy and strong and able to do almost anything that anyone without a transplant could do. But what it's done for me is really opened my eyes to how precious life is. And I am so grateful every day for being alive and feeling well, because when you're not well, that's the only thing you want, is to have your health back. And I try to live every day with that gratitude and not to really sweat the small stuff, and just realize how lucky I am and how lucky we are to be here and able to help others and help others that have been in the position that I was once in.
When you were really sick, did you worry that you were going to die?
Yeah. I had moments of what if this is it? I never lost hope, and I never wanted to give up. I never wanted to die. And I think that really helped a lot. That helped to keep my spirits up as best as I could during a time where, nothing was going right and I wasn't feeling well. But yeah, there were some days there where, I was throwing up blood and passing blood, and it wasn't a pretty time. And I had like liters of fluid on my stomach that I had to have drained. And got to a point where there was really not much else they could do to keep me comfortable. And those were the days where I thought, like, they're doing all they can and they've kind of maxed out on options here. All I just need a liver to survive. There was nothing left that they could do. And would it come in time? Would the transplant come in time? And fortunately it did.
So,
And
go ahead, Kelly. You're up.
so in our listeners trying to understand how we can help. So if you're, I'm trying to understand, what is it that will help your Move for Life Foundation? Is it, us signing up as donors? Is it just, can you explain like how donors can make a difference?
For sure. Signing up to be an organ donor is extremely easy. It literally takes 2 minutes online. You don't have to wait till you renew your license. That's how we do it here in Ontario anyways. You can renew your license and they ask you. You can do it online. It takes 2 minutes. That step alone would make a huge difference if people would just do it. 90% of people in Ontario support organ donation, and only 35% of Ontarians are actually registered. I'm not sure what that is across Canada or even US. I imagine it's something very similar. So for sure, that will help our cause, our mission. And the mission that we have at Move for Life is to reduce the wait list, because the wait list is where people die. Every 3 days, somebody on the wait list dies that's waiting for an organ transplant because they didn't receive one in time. So the way that we're trying to reduce the wait list is by raising funds. And we decided for year 1 and 2, the way we wanted to do that was to raise enough money to purchase a piece of equipment that we have actually been able to purchase already because of our fundraising from the swim. And what this piece of equipment does, that is being used in the US already and in Spain, I believe it's in Spain, somewhere in Europe, it can increase the pool of organs that are viable for transplant by reoxygenating the harvested organ and keeping the organ warm. And this will help to reduce complications post-transplant. And it will also, because it's increasing the pool of organs that can be used for transplant, more transplants can be performed, and thus it will save more lives. So this is it's really important for us to emphasize that we're raising funds, but also a big part of Move for Life is to take care of your organ and to have an active, healthy lifestyle pre and post transplant, because many transplanted recipients, they may have a belief that they are not as capable or able to do something or be active. And that's simply not true. I know everybody's different. Some people's activity is less than others, but I think we want to emphasize how important it is to keep active, whatever that means to you and however that looks to you. It doesn't have to mean swimming across a Great Lake. It could be getting out in your garden every day, going for a walk every day. But we really want to emphasize the importance of living healthily after a transplant as well, is to honor your organ donor and just to take the best care of your transplant as you can.
So tell us how having the goal of the Transplant Games helped you recover.
Well, it helped in many ways. It gave me a purpose when I went to the pool. I had set goals for myself, times that I wanted to achieve. So I joined a club at the YMCA, and I trained with a club, which, is so great to swim with other people instead of just swimming by yourself. So I was pushed in that way by swimming with others. And then once I went to the games, I met so many other people that were, of all ages, younger than me, people that were my age, people that were all walks of life that had been saved by having an organ transplant: liver, heart, kidney, lungs, pancreas, all sorts of transplant recipients that were just so grateful to be there, competing, being alive. And then, so once I had been there and had one experience at the games, I just couldn't wait to go back. And now it's for me, it's something that I really look forward to every 2 years. And it just keeps me going. It's something that I want to train for. So it keeps me active. It keeps me in the pool, in the water, and communicating with other people that I've met at the games. So that for me was really, it was motivating. It was inspiring. It was exciting. And just to feel that I was part of this community of other people like me that have been through very similar things in their life, challenges in their life. And I feel that we push each other and we help each other. And that's been just so life-changing for me to be part of the transplant games and to be able to compete.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in, well, lots of things, but one is like, okay, swimming for 18 hours and 36 minutes. What's your self-talk like? And where did you learn whatever self-talk it took you to get through that?
Oh, the swim specifically, I knew I had trained so long and so intently for this swim that there was no negative talk on the swim. It was all positive reinforcement that I could do it. And I told myself all year leading up to the swim that no matter what obstacle came up during the swim, that I was willing and ready to face it and to overcome it and try my best to get through it. And so a lot of what went through my mind was counting, positive mantras, singing little songs, more counting, thinking back on my journey from where I had started and thinking about the people that I was doing the swim for. That helped me a lot, because I think when you're doing something that hard and for that long, there's got to be something there that, aside from I want to do this swim for myself, I think you need to have a reason bigger than yourself, because that really helped me in the hardest moments. Like in the last 10K of that swim, I was doing this for other people as well, and to help other people, inspire other people, and bring hope. And I knew that some of those people would be waiting for me on the other side of the lake, and I didn't want to quit for them. I didn't want to quit for myself, because I also wanted to prove to myself that I was able to do what I had set out to do. But mainly, I just, I thought a lot about the people that would be so inspired by this. So that kept me going. I thought about it a lot. And of course, my crew, the 13 people that came along on this swim with me, I look at them every time I turn to breathe, and just so thankful that they were there to be a part of it and help me achieve this goal.
So, on your first, what was water temp? Before I go to my next question, how is the water temperature?
So for the majority of the swim, it was about 70 Fahrenheit, which is like, I think it's 20, 21 Celsius. And then as I got to Toronto, you have the Humber River that flows out close to where I was finishing the swim. And that kind of like turns up the bottom of the lake. And so there were pockets, and I don't know how cold they were, but they were cold. I would say probably 50 Fahrenheit. And luckily they were pockets. So I never experienced anything close to hypothermia. I was very fortunate with the conditions that I got that day. And I had done tons of cold water training. So I was ready to be a little bit cold, but
even 70 is not like super warm. Like, but just for listeners that are not swimmers, most pools are like 80 to 84. Mm-hmm. So that's still 10 degrees colder. I would be cold in 70 degrees. Yeah. but
I
and
was cold
especially
at
the
night.
upwelling of 50-degree
Yeah.
pockets. So give us 3 qualities that you feel you really strengthened in yourself, and or what 3 qualities you think champions really possess.
Okay, that's a great question. I have to say perseverance is something that I realized I had within myself. I did face a lot of challenges over the year. The pools being closed, the gyms were closed, the lake was frozen. But
That's a big one.
is a big one. But I was so determined to keep training. So I found ways to train no matter what was happening, whether, we weren't allowed to be near anybody or in any public place. So I felt that I really did persevere quite a lot, to get to the end goal. I would have to say, good sleeping habits too. That's something that I always knew having good sleeping habits was important. But when I trained that hard, this is the most I've trained in my life. I have to say, I don't think I haven't trained for anything so hard in my life before. And to get a good night's sleep was so important, because I didn't take 2 days off in a row all year. So I was up and swimming anywhere from 5 to 25 kilometers every day. So I needed a good sleep. So that was something that I really value. And I think that I nailed that over the year. Yeah. It's the other thing I would have to say. Goal setting, I think, is really important in laying out the plan. So it wasn't like, okay, I'm just going to swim a bunch until August 3rd and 4th. I had to kind of break it down. I had never swam 15 kilometers. I'd never swam 20 kilometers. So I had to break it down into smaller goals across the year to bring myself to ultimately be ready to swim the 52 kilometers. So I think that's something that probably all champions understand and implement, is goal setting, because I think that helps to set you up for success, and it helps to build your confidence along the way. And ultimately, that's, I think, what led me to be able to swim the 52 kilometers across the lake.
I'm just blown away by your confidence in yourself, even in, living when you were sick, and then picking this really hard goal and not ever really saying, I might not be able to do this. I mean, I think a lot of us just, question ourselves, even if we do pick lofty goals and, work towards them. Tell me about how you developed that.
It's a great question, because I get this often. I think a lot of my determination and my strength came from when I was sick and had those moments of not knowing if I was going to live, and just getting through it, and seeing my mom nearly die twice, seeing her get through it. She's shown me her strength throughout my life, but especially in those times. And I always wanted to be like her, and I wanted to be strong like my mom. And so she really set a good example for me. And of course, I have had doubts. I've had doubts throughout the year about, what did I sign up for here? Am I going to be able to do this? But I think what helped was not voicing them out loud and not dwelling on it, and realizing that those thoughts are just that. They are not the truth. And not to dwell on those negative thoughts or doubts that come up, because I think it's normal for our brains to go there and doubt and fear the unknown or the things we haven't done before. But I tried really hard throughout my training, even just a simple training swim, like thoughts would come up like, I'm cold. I don't want to do this. And then remind myself, I'm thinking this is a thought. It's not true. I can get through this. And I think over time, just training that like a muscle, it eventually gets stronger, and you just, you become to really believe in yourself.
That was a great explanation of cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yes, I was just thinking the same thing. I hope our yeah, that was fantastic.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, I could see why you're where you are. So, what's next? Like, what is really exciting for Jillian Best next? What's next for you? Next big thing.
Okay, well, yeah, by the time this show airs, I think we'll have put it out in the world what we're doing next. So next year, our big event, this is exciting for me. Aside from the next World Transplant Games that are in 2023, I'm very excited about those because those are going to be in Australia.
Wonderful.
So I will be training for those. However, next year we are Move for Life Foundation. We are doing another event, and we're using 1,600 as our kilometer distance, and because 1,600 is the number of people in Ontario that are currently waiting for an organ transplant.
Wow.
So we are going to do a 1,600 kilometer relay around Ontario. So
wow.
yes,
that's exciting. Swimming?
Some swimming. We're going to do biking and running. We'll
You
probably
say
have,
you have people on your team?
Yes. Yeah. So my foundation, my group, my friends that put this foundation together, we're all going to do a segment, probably a few segments. And then we're also inviting other transplant recipients to be a part of it, and friends and family of our transplanted friends too. So we're going to have a number of athletes involved in this challenge, also to bring, more awareness, because more people are involved and they'll share it with their networks instead of, this past event was more about me and my network. I think this one, we're going to reach so many more people. And also because we're going to be traveling across and around Ontario, we're hoping to make, everyone aware that we're coming through. And so we think that this is going to be a really, really fun and big success because there's going to be lots of people involved that are also passionate about the cause.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
How's your family? You mentioned before that your sister was also positive for this genetic.
She's okay right now. She's had some trouble in the past, in the last about 5 years ago when she had her son, my nephew. Having a baby, being pregnant, caused some problems with her liver. So there's potential that she will one day need a transplant. So she's living fine right now. She's working, and but it's kind of similar to how I was in my early 20s and before I really got sick. It was like, when is this going to happen? It's sort of like the sword on the string.
Sword of Damocles. The sword of Damocles. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what's going to happen? When's this going to go down? And just trying to live your life normally while you can.
None of us knows anyway.
Yeah. Just hope.
Well, you certainly are a huge inspiration to her if she needs to go down the same road. You've cleared the path. So that's wonderful. So the last question we always ask our guests is there anything that we have not asked you that you would like to share with our listeners?
Yeah. I would like to tell people, so many things, but to pick one, not to be afraid of having a big dream and following a dream, even if it doesn't look like what everyone else is doing or what you think people expect of you. We're all on different paths, and I think it's okay to not go the traditional route, whatever you think that's supposed to be or whatever you think that looks like. I think it's easy to get caught up in doing what you thought people expect of you, what your parents expect of you, what your friends expect of you. My life certainly didn't go the way that I probably thought it was going to go, but I would not take any of it back. The illness, the transplant, it's all led me to where I am now. And I'm grateful to be where I am now. I think I'm a stronger, healthier, mentally and physically person than I would have been had I not gone through everything that I've endured. So I encourage people to whatever it is you think that will make you really happy or fulfill you, or fuel your passion, like to just go for it. And not be afraid of doing that, because I think it can lead you to better, happier times in your life.
That's beautiful.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, what a fantastic interview, Jillian. Thank you so much. But we do have a fun speed round that we do with all our swimmers. Are you ready to play a little sprinter round, even though you're a distance swimmer right now?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. So these are just short, either one word answers or very brief answers. So I'll start with the first few and then Maria asks you some. So cat or dog?
Dog.
Red or blue?
Blue.
Milk chocolate or dark chocolate?
Dark chocolate.
Kickboard or no kickboard?
Oh, kickboard.
Mountains or beach?
Beach. Easy.
Football or baseball?
Ooh, baseball.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, please.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Okay.
Okay. Here's my 10. Favorite color?
Green.
Mine too. Favorite pizza topping?
Cheese.
Favorite vegetable?
Avocado. Is that a fruit or a vegetable?
Well, I think it's most
We'll
people
take
consider
it.
But we'll take it. I like it. Your favorite place to swim?
Oh, weird, but little beach in Lake Erie.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
What's
so
it
weird, Maria.
What's it called?
Maria, I was just on Lake Erie last week and you are going to Lake
going
Erie
there
next week.
Yes.
That is so weird.
It is. What's the beach?
It's called Little Beach. It's in Port Stanley.
It's not a little beach. It's called
on
Little
Lake
Beach.
Erie.
Okay.
A little
Cool.
beach.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you relax?
Laying on the couch with my pugs.
Oh, nice. What's your shoe size?
Oh, which foot? 8.5 and 8.
That's so funny.
So do you swim in circles? Because you got different size flippers.
I have to buy 8.5.
That's funny. Your favorite, I think you might be in the Harry Potter phase. Your favorite Harry Potter character?
I never watched it.
All right.
Star Wars.
Favorite Star Wars?
I never watched it.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
You didn't watch any TV.
I'm not a TV girl.
All right. Can you cook?
Yes.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh, lately it's been pad thai.
Oh my
Nice.
gosh, I'm coming to dinner.
Yeah,
I love
that's
pad
a good
thai.
one. That's-
I love this question. What word comes to mind when you dive into the water?
weightless.
Ah, that's a
Mm.
nice one.
I don't think we've
Yeah.
had that one yet.
No,
We've had
no.
a ton of swimmers. That's a
And
great
weightless is a
one.
beautiful image. It's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, Jillian, this has just been so joyful. And,
I
we
enjoyed it too.
we hope you have a wonderful holiday season and 2022. You get all your dreams. And thank you for inspiring us today.
Yes, thank you
It's
so
been my
much.
pleasure. Yes,
loved it.
Thank you for inviting me. This has been great.
Right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too.
It's now time for the takeaways. Maria, you and I have heard the takeaways are the best part of the show.
That's right, Kelly, because the takeaways are curated information, which is what we give to our clients when we coach them.
If you would like to take your performance to the next level in health, life, or leadership, go to our website and schedule your free 30-minute consultation.
Yes, just click on our coaching page and book there. We're looking forward to bringing out the champion in you.
And now, the takeaways. Okay, Maria, we are just glowing from
Jillian
talking
Best.
with Jillian Best. Jillian Best is a transplant pioneer for just optimism. She's founded this foundation, Move for Life, the Move for Life Foundation. She's got huge goals. Oh, please listen to the whole podcast. It was just amazing. Now, one of the things we did ask her that we didn't record that we wanted to share, Maria, you want to talk about that? So with organ donation.
Right. So organ donation is kind of, it's one of those weird things where it's hard to talk about because you think you have to die to donate your organs, and many organs are donated after somebody dies suddenly. But and you should definitely sign up. You're dead. You don't need your organs. Give them to somebody who needs them. But what you don't know is that you can live and be an organ donor. There are people who donate kidneys. You only need one. You can donate. She was telling us you can donate part of your liver, and your liver will reform itself. And of course, blood donation is a donation of organ, and it's desperately needed. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And that was a misconception that I had. I thought, okay, we're signing up on our driver's license to, okay, I'm going to be dead. If I get in a car accident, they're going to look at my driver's license and know that I'm an organ donor. However, that, so she gave a statistic that I thought was really interesting, that 90% of people in her town, of course, she's from Ontario, or is it Ottawa?
London, Ontario.
I am a typical American that just like they joke that Americans don't know any towns in Canada, and I've just solidified that. I apologize to all our Canadian listeners. I am so sorry. Okay, that in her town, that 90% of people are in her province. They believe in organ donation, but only 35% have signed up for it. So it's really easy to sign up. You don't have to wait till your driver's license is renewed. You can go online. I think that's true in the US too. Do it. She said, and even if you don't want to give part of your liver, which you could, that was amazing to me, that you can give up to 70% of your liver. The lobe, it will grow in the organ, the person that you donate it to, and then yours grows back. So that was amazing. So anyway, that was a huge takeaway that we didn't actually cover in the show. So what was your first, boy, this is really going to buoy me up here.
Okay. So many incredible things about what she said. Please listen. But one of the things, and I've seen this time and time again. If you're doing something hard, no matter what it is, it could be an athletic event, or it could be something that you're doing in your life. If you're doing something hard, try to think about others that you're doing it for. So in other words, when she was in her last 10K of her swim, she was aware that her crew was up there, and she was, doing it for her crew. She was doing it to inspire others. She was doing it for other donor transplant people. So and I found that in Race Across America, and anytime I've watched or supported somebody doing something hard, it's so hard to do it for yourself. In the end, when you suffer, you don't. It has to be for something bigger than you, and especially for other people. So I would say a major take home for me, and it's always a take home, is even when I'm doing whatever it is, I'm helping my grandchildren. It's like, if I get overwhelmed, or it seems hard, or I'm uncomfortable, it's like, this isn't about me. This is something that I can do for others. And I think that we're wired to serve and help others, and that inspires us and keeps us moving in hard times. What about you, Kelly?
Yes. Yeah. I love that one. I just love it. It just gives you extra strength.
Yeah.
When you're standing behind something tough you're about to do, just think of all the people that, even if you don't have a team, or you don't have, like she said, there were people waiting on the other side of the lake. So even if you don't have someone waiting on the other side of the lake, that you may be solo doing something, that you are inspiring someone that you may not even know, that, boy, I'm going to do this, and then someone's going to see that they can do it too. So that's that. I love that one. My one that really has been, somehow it's been sticking with me when I hear it, and when she said it again. So having just watched the Olympics, and I watched, I'm going to say his name right, Eliud Kipchoge, who is the guy that won the men's marathon in the Olympics, dominated. He said, when he was interviewed prior to the race, do you think you can live up to your reputation? Because he's the first guy ever to run under 3 hours for a marathon, which he did, being paced and through the whole
under 2 hours,
under 2 hours, which nobody thought he could do, but he did it. So he said, I'm ready. And I think I'm ready. It is such a powerful statement, that my takeaway is, when you're going to do something, you need to be ready to be at that best. And when Jillian Best said, you said, how was it going into that big lake swim? She said, I was ready. And I think that is what is a powerful phrase, but it's the pile that we talk about. You have to do the work, put in the time to be ready, But when you are ready, that's when magic happens. So my takeaway is, if something is really important to you, be ready.
I love it. I love it. And it's a great springboard for my next takeaway, which is how do you have confidence? How do you say I'm ready? Well, part of it is that you do all the things like Lewis Pugh said, you layer, you look back at your pile. And then the other part is you tell yourself you're ready. And so I asked her, you seem so confident. And she said she never doubted her ability to finish the swim. She never doubted that she would overcome whatever obstacle. She even said that whatever obstacle came my way, I knew I was going to overcome it. I was like, how do you have such confidence? And she said, I practice talking to myself, basically saying these positive things to myself. When I have a negative thought, I remind myself it's just a thought and it's not real. And I immediately say something, positive that's really true too. And I mean, I think it was such a perfect example of, how we can really rewire our brains. I mean, it's not all brain chemistry. It's you have conscious control over your thoughts. And at first you can just say them and not believe them, but then you got to keep saying them and you will have, you will gain confidence. And she was just amazing. She believed she could do it. She told herself she could do it. She practiced saying to herself, oh, she gave the example, water's cold. I feel like giving up, whatever. She'd say, no, this is a challenge, but this is something that she would tell herself something true that she could believe and that was positive. So I thought I love, don't dwell on the negative. She said, I don't even say it out loud. I just thought
it's a muscle. It's a muscle.
And that's it. She used that. She said, it's going to muscle. You got to train it.
Yeah.
And gosh, I mean, we've been saying that since we started the show, Kelly, but I still forget that. I still forget that.
It's so easy to just let that negative seep in.
And you don't look at it when you look in the mirror. You don't see that muscle, but that muscle is the most important muscle you have.
It is. And we both were like, she's preaching to the choir here, but this is really good to hear.
I forget.
Yeah, we do. And so my second and final takeaway for the show is sleep. I know we all, it's again, I always say this, it's not sexy, but it is so important. And when we drilled down with her and like, what was one of the things that's made a difference in your recovery, your life, your success at this, she prioritizes sleep. And it really does create everything from mental health to healing to just, if there are so many ways to sleep better, to take sleep as a priority and do the 10 or 20 things. This is not something that should be, let me phrase it positively. This is something that should be approached with the importance that it warrants. And that is everything from the cool temperature to the dark room, to the turning off the screens, to the eating properly, the right amount of food before you go to sleep. It's just massively important. And you and I do coaching, when I work with some of the most productive, talented people in the world doing huge things, this is something that is important to them and that we work on, because whatever you're doing, your sleep is the foundation for it.
Oh, I love it. That's so true. And a great reminder.
Yeah.
Well, great show.
Awesome job, Maria. Love you so much.
I love you too, Kelly. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Champions Mojo podcast with host Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker. Champions Mojo is produced by Cabra Media, and a new episode debuts every Tuesday. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. Follow Champions Mojo on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook @Champions Mojo.